Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, Trey Styles, right after this.
Justice for you and me. Justice for Mike Brown.
No justice, no peace.
After the death that shook the entire country, I decided to step up as a community activist and create a global podcast, Woke by Accident. Here, I amplify compelling news stories and matters impacting African Americans and their communities. My goal is to give a voice to the voiceless and have the difficult conversations needed to advance relations and matters of race. Tune in to Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen, and it is streaming on all of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our website, www.wokebyaccident.net. Thank you for listening and take care.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen. Welcome. Thank you. Today we have a special guest, Trey Styles. Trey Styles is the author of Black Boy Arise and the host of the thought-provoking podcast, BlackManTalk. And Trey is back on the show to chop it up with us today for a great topic. You may recall that Trey has been on the show before, and so he's back. He's been on episode 69 as well as 103 and a few others. So please go back and check those episodes out. And he is from the great state of Michigan. So welcome to the show and welcome back, Trey.
Thank you very much, Jen. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just taking it easy. It's almost summertime in Detroit, and Detroit, like St. Louis, is a good thing, and sometimes it can be a bad thing. But I'm trying to look
For sure.
for the positive things.
Definitely. Well, glad to see you and glad to have you back. I appreciate you carving out some time for Woke by Accident and our listeners and viewers. So yeah, let's get into it. So and Trey will be joining us for a few topics in the few coming weeks. So we appreciate him for that as well. Kind of thank you in advance for those additional episodes that you're joining us on for, and we will return the favor whenever you want to have us on, we'll be there. So but our topic today, we want to get into the male-female dynamic in the workplace, which also can involve issues of sexual harassment. So I was inspired by this topic when seeing the former CEO of BET, Debra Lee, released a book earlier in the year talking about a situation in the workplace. And so former BET CEO Debra Lee is talking about the situation in her new memoir. It's called I Am Debra Lee. She reveals that her and the original BET founder, Bob Johnson, had an intimate affair while they were both married to other people. She had been on several talk shows talking about it, and described him as a mentor. It kind of started off as a mentor relationship and progressed from there. And then the downfall of the relationship is, after they kind of went into this consensual relationship, but after she kind of wanted to exit the relationship, it was a situation where he didn't want that, and then her career and job was held over her head. And so that's when it kind of turned into a sexual harassment situation. And so she mentioned that it's kind of a cautionary tale for women who may be going through something similar with having relationships with people in the office. And so I thought that may be something interesting to explore, just a female-male dynamic in the workplace and sexual harassment. Apparently she didn't report the sexual harassment, and a lot of women don't. And so I went to have a conversation with a male. We both kind of come from corporate America, so know how those situations go, and just wanted to get your thoughts on this story. I mean, I know I was kind of shocked and surprised that Debra Lee and Bob Johnson, how many times have we seen them get on the stage together at award shows and things like that? I mean, maybe people close to the situation may have already known, but I know I was surprised with it. What are your thoughts?
Um, well, I would say number one, at this point, it's nothing that surprises me about anybody or anything, and just at this point, that might be just because of my experiences and just living and seeing different people from different walks of life, and thinking you know something about someone, then you find out something different about them. I guess it's just I attribute that to life and life experiences. Well, it's interesting, and because first and foremost, they both were married, before they engaged in the affair. So first and foremost, the people you don't know the circumstances of the marriage. What's going on with their partner, if there's infidelity issues with their respective partners with them first and foremost. But if it wasn't, in particular, at least what we know, I mean, they both were wrong for committing adultery. With they both were wrong for uh, basically lying to their partners, and so first and foremost, that's what they were wrong for. That aspect of it, because we're in a marriage, supposed to be a commitment. And you never know the particulars of a marriage. Some people just have a marriage of convenience. Some people marry people for status. You never know. You never know what's the reason they're marrying people. But we saying they're marrying people, and they was marrying their partners, and they was, supposedly honest with them, and they were, you know, really cared about God and Christians or whatever their background may be. Then, I mean, they were totally wrong. Now, on the flip side, what I always learned about relationships is that a lot of times, if you are in a relationship with someone and you start engaging in another relationship with someone before ending that relationship, the proper way, it's like usually how it starts, usually how it ends. It usually don't work out anyway, because a lot of times you both live in a lie. You're both not being truthful. You so first and foremost, that's why I see, that's how I look at the beginning of the relationship, how it actually begins. It didn't begin in an honorable way. It didn't begin in an honest way. At least, like, I mean, when you never know what they're saying to each other. Like, Bob Johnson and Debra Lee. You never know what they were saying with each other. You never know what they were saying about their partners. Well, you were looking at it from an outsider's view, because we outsiders. They're not being honest, because it's not like, I mean, do their partner really know that they're stepping out on you? It's so many strange dynamics that we don't know anything about. We just don't go off what we see. So I would say I'm not surprised that it could lead to this. A lot of times when you're working close with someone, and a lot of time, you have him, and he's has power, wealth, and influence, and he's like the top guy in the organization, and maybe her spouse is not that. What I'm saying? And it's different reasons. Sometimes you just connect with people, and you want to learn from them and everything, and then you feel like you connect with them, because sometimes you don't have to necessarily physically cheat in a relationship or run a relationship. Sometimes you emotionally connect with someone else, and it seems like that's a good chance of that what possibly happened, what led to them even engaged in extramarital affair.
That's true. They say that you spend more time, at work than you do at home, but that's definitely doesn't excuse, anyone's affair. But it's just
Mhm.
interesting that, this being in the music industry, and it is June, which is Black Music Month. So it's interesting that we're talking about this. And I had kind of wanted to do a topic exploring the male and female dynamic just in the music industry, in light of Black Music Month. Like even going all the way back, you're from Detroit with the Motown roots there. And, look how many artists that were kind of involved in I don't want to say relationship scandals, but like Diana Ross and Barry Gordy kind of had, a little affair that, really was kind of shocking when I read about it in her book. And but it went on, child was produced, you know what I mean? And she has this large family, but I mean, I guess these things happen all the time. But they had like, he was the boss, he was the, CEO of the company, and she was one of the talented artists. But then you kind of see this happening in other scenarios too. Fast forward several years, other artists, maybe some artist or rapper has a protege, and he's dealing with her, in a romantic way. Jay-Z and Beyonce. I mean, all these people that, and they're at award shows together. But this situation is different though, because he was the boss and she reported under him. He was her mentor. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, it is deep. But like you said, it is very common because it's like, I mean, when you really think about it, it's like something that's been going on. Now I know the part
Hmm.
of it, especially for people, period, who have integrity, who believe in truth and justice. It's a problem when someone, you know, sexually harassed, whether it's a male or female. That's a problem,
Right.
period. Now, it's the fine line. It is this. It's just like excuse to what I'm about to say. If it comes off the wrong way, it's like if you, in a way, if you can, if a man and a woman is engaging in consensual sex, you know, and she gave you to go and y'all have actually engaged in the sex, and she says stop, and the man doesn't stop. He's arguing
Hmm.
like, well, she told me I can do it. You told me I can do it. Wait a minute, but she gave you the go, but then when she said stop and you continue to go, that's actually rape. Now,
Right.
that's and some people are like, wait a minute, but she let him do it, then she said stop. But it's just like, wait a minute, like if they say stop, that's what it is. But then it's like a fine line, like only you and her were there. You and her were there,
Right.
and I know a lot of people will be looking like, wait a minute, you were engaging with this married man who had power, wealth, and influence, and all of a sudden you become like, I'm just giving you different perspectives of it. Like then all of a sudden you
Hmm.
become like the CEO after he's gone, then you come out later on to expose him and everything. Like I mean, and that's one way of looking at it. But then it's like
Mm.
you gotta remember, like regardless of what went on, regardless of what the relationship was, or if somebody says no, they want to put an end to it, they have that right to put an end to it. So it's like a fine
Right.
line, like what like really went on in the relationship. Some men, from their perspective, what I'm gonna say that some people in power, if you're the person that was in power, you may look at the person, oh, you just use me as a means to an end. You know, and the person, if the person on the opposite end, so maybe I did just use you to a means to an end. But some people say that's the game. You never
So
know.
so you're saying she used him to climb up to the CEO level?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay.
saying that's no. I'm saying different. No, I'm saying different perspectives.
Right,
We're talking
right.
because we don't know. We don't know the particulars. I said whether you a man or woman in power, because men use women too.
True, true,
No, I was saying, I'm not saying
true.
she used. I don't know. I don't know. We on the outside. You don't know what.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like how different people may view this. Like on the flip side, when I said about the
right.
consensual sex thing, I was speaking like in terms of generally women being in that situation where if you're in a situation, you give a man a consent to have sex, and they just want to say stop in the process. You know, you had that right. So I wasn't saying that she used them to make up the ladder. I mean,
That's
I
true.
don't know. I don't know if she did or she didn't. I'm just saying we're just going off like what's
But you
been
know
put
what?
out
People were going to think that though. Right. People are going to think that and assume that probably.
there. A lot of people would. Well, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think she used them?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the fact that she's putting it all out, even though that, this is making her look bad. Like you said, they both, especially the part where they were married to other people, that's, very scandalous and salacious. And for her to reveal that is very, open and forthcoming of her. So, she's already kind of putting herself in a negative light. So it's like, why would she lie if she's already kind of putting her cards out there, revealing something that she did which was wrong. And so she's saying, hey, this happened to me, you know what I mean? But I'm sharing my story for a reason because, like she said in this article, other young girls, coming up through not only, corporate America, maybe the music industry, because how many other, recent accounts of sexual assault have been made, or sexual harassment. Assault is a different matter, but of harassment and assault have been made against some of our, very noteworthy, popular CEO moguls, Russell Simmons, hello, you know what I mean? Among others. And that has never went to anybody's court or anything like that, you know. So this goes on is what I'm saying. So it's definitely a timely thing to discuss because and even just your regular company, your regular corporation that's not in the music industry, and you just maybe a male and a female have these feelings, or in a relationship, and like you said, there's a power dynamic, and so the subordinate is always in a disadvantage because, like, she's gave this scenario wanting to exit the relationship, and then the person in power is like, nope, you can you can't do that. This whole quid quo, either you stay in this relationship and do what I want, or I will expose you, or you lose your job, or it's always going to be moving the goalposts.
Yes. Yes, and I understand where you're coming from for the most part. I do. The thing is about, yes, there's a lot of people that we may know to be great people, but not all great people behind closed door do great things. It could be a person that's a great musician, but they may be, like an asshole to people. Or they might be a bad person to
Hmm.
people in their personal life. Some people got a public persona where it's
Right.
like they're this good person, this cool person, but behind closed doors they're tearing people down. Now, what I'm saying is like it's definitely a real thing. She has the right to tell her truth if that's her truth or her point of view.
Right.
But people
True.
is always that saying that there's your truth, their truth. I mean, what is yours? What's that like? It's my story, your story, and then the truth. Whatever it might, some of that nature. So I mean, it would be good, interesting if he cared out to hear his perspective of what happened as well. But I don't. I understand her telling her side is nothing
Right.
wrong with that, because if it's a real thing, and a lot of young women should know about the industry that they're getting into. A lot of them should be aware of that. You know, uh, Not an unfortunate thing for a lot of the women coming up in this generation, like any generation, is when you have some of those women who will use their sexual prowess to make it to the top. And a lot of times, those are a lot of times the women that's
Mm.
put out in front of these young women coming up, young black women today. Like, they use their sexual prowess, or is always something related to sex, to quote unquote make it. And even if a woman coming off like that,
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that you got a right to take advantage of her. Even if she is coming like using sex to sell, it doesn't mean that you can just touch her or put your hand on her. That's just what it is. At the same time, I would say on the flip side, for the young women, we don't get to the other part, but the young women, like, also be mindful of the world that you do live in. Though. You live in a very sexist and dangerous world, especially here in America,
Hmm.
and that's just the reality of the world you live in. There, a lot of things we shouldn't. It's a lot of things I shouldn't have to worry about driving my car and being pulled over the police and shot down as a black person and as a black man in America. But I know that's a reality.
Hmm.
I shouldn't feel nervous, you know, when I'm a United States citizen, or my people have been here and really in this country forever. Well, that's a whole nother discussion. But we've been in this country basically forever, contrary to popular opinion. But somebody who come across seas get treated better than us. You know, and our people have basically built this
Mhm,
country. I
mhm.
shouldn't feel unsafe being a guy that's like an upstanding citizen. A guy who made it the right way. But when the cops get behind me, I still get nervous because of
Mhm.
the world I live in, even when I ain't doing nothing wrong. So what I would say to the young women, you have the right to tell your story, and Debra Lee has the right to tell her story, and she should tell her story. Because if you
Mhm.
admitting that you're wrong with what you did, and you're coming out, I'm not gonna doubt her integrity because I don't know her personally. You know, I'm not gonna doubt Bob Johnson's integrity because I don't know him personally. But just what's being put out there, I see nothing wrong with her like putting out, you know, her truth or her point of view of what happened because the more that get put out there, the more it gives people that's coming up a chance to, having this, some kind of assessment of how they should move or what they're really getting into. We always say be careful what you ask for. And, you get more of the
Mhm.
details really like behind the stars and the bright lights.
That's true. And really, this was just an example. I really wanted to get your thoughts on just, regular people in these scenarios too. I want to share something I found in Chat GPT. You were just
Mhm.
talking about Chat GPT is a tool that you can use for, a lot of things. So, but I found this information here, which is why the reasons why women don't report sexual harassment at work.
Okay.
So, okay, so here are the lists that they came up with. Fear of retaliation. She mentioned that in her, article, and apparently it's shared in the book that she had this fear of him retaliating. He told her that, either you keep doing this or you're going to lose your job. So the fear of retaliation is out here. Another one is lack of trust in the system. And so it goes on to say that women may not have confidence in the fairness or effectiveness of the reporting process and things like that, that their complaint will be taken seriously. So that's a reason. Another is social and cultural stigma. Societal attitudes and cultural norms can create a stigma around reporting a sexual harassment. Victims may fear judgment or blame or social isolation. Word gets around fast, even though it's supposed to be a confidential thing. A report gets filed, everybody's looking and gossiping. Things like that. That's kind of the social and cultural stigma. Another list is the power dynamics and imbalance. We talked about a person that's in power, and then the other party is the subordinate or not that person in power. So if it's not an equal situation, that is always going to be another player in the relationship. Basically, that power is a thing. The other, it goes on to say, is emotional and psychological impact. Experiencing sexual harassment can be emotionally and psychologically distressing. So some women may not report it because they don't want to avoid reliving the trauma or going through lengthy and emotional draining process. And the last one it shares is a lack of awareness or understanding, and some people may not recognize the behavior that they experience is harassment. Some people may
Mhm.
not even understand, what, because like literally like someone in the office place telling a dirty joke, sharing
Yeah.
something lewd, that is sexual harassment. You know what I mean? Like they give you the little video at work, but sometimes people don't really understand and click that, someone coming you off to the side and saying something off color is sexual harassment, even though they didn't like come and touch you and do all this. Those type of things are sexual harassment too.
Absolutely. And that's why
Hmm.
it's better to be safe than sorry, because there's a fine line. And then there's a lot of times, like we speak here, and particularly from the black experience to black spectacles, essentially. And so sometimes with us, it's cultural. like it could be a
Yeah.
way. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. How a typical, I said stereotypical Black American man might approach a Black American woman. How he might approach her with something that she understands, and he like not saying that like he's coming saying something like just oh damn you got a fat ass or not like that, nothing like that, but just saying like oh damn baby you looking good today. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. How he would say like she walking like damn baby you looking good or something like that, and you might say that. I mean you don't know. I would say you got a little more. Got your feet wet a little bit. I wouldn't definitely saw it like that in the office, but let's say he was at a party, a work party or something like that, and you said that to a coworker. Let's say she was of a different ethnicity or something like that. She might take it a different way. So it's like it's cultural how you can come at somebody and like some things we may understand and not
And
really.
that's like not an okay thing to say to somebody. That's not
Huh?
okay. That's
What?
like not okay to say to somebody
Like
that
what?
you got a
Period.
fat whatever
Well,
to
no, no, no,
a
no,
coworker.
no. I'm saying that I'm not. I said not you, and I said you know how to say that, but I'm just saying like if somebody was saying like, "Damn, baby, you looking good today." I
And
know, I
that's
know, I know
still
what you're
like
saying. Like, damn,
not
I know you're saying.
appropriate.
Okay, so like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you was at a work party and let's say you single whatever single woman and a Black man came over, y'all was at the work party, nobody's around, he come over and said, "Baby, you looking good today." That's offensive to you.
I didn't say it was offensive. I'm saying in the workplace. In the workplace. It's a way to give a compliment without being creepy. So,
I mean,
it's,
would that be creepy to you? Like if he that would be creepy to you?
um not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay,
You're
and
not
you
in
see what
the
I'm saying?
workplace. You're outside of the workplace. So yeah, you give yeah.
So we speaking
But
strictly
it's
just in
almost
the
like you have to okay.
like strictly in the workplace. I mean, okay, I can I can see that in some ways because even though they could be both Black, but all us don't grow up the same. You know what I'm saying? All us don't
Hmm.
respond to everything the same. We're not a monolithic group. You might understand it a little bit more. So than somebody of a different ethnicity. But it's just like, of course, I get that in the workplace. I mean, that's not what I would do in the workplace. But it's
Hmm.
also like I'm
Yeah.
from the hood. I'm from the ghetto as well. But also, I got a little more education. I didn't had
Okay.
different types. What I'm saying is like I had different types of experiences. Well as like
Right.
some people who you may work with, they may not know how to separate, work life from personal life. And so I can understand
True.
like
True.
like somebody like I just said I'll give you an example. When I work at my school for this organization, it was like a social organization. It was this guy that was from the hood like me. He was a little older than us. I was a little younger. And he was aggressive. And then next thing you know, we heard that we was having like a topic about sexual harassment in the workplace. This is true. He talked to us after. He said I believe that was about me. He said all I asked the girl was for a number. Or she wanted to go out or something like that. And then her perspective was like
Mhm.
I was I'm about to call my dad or something like that. Because he was
Mhm.
aggressive. She said like he wasn't like, but he was like kind of hood, but it's like and she was from the hood as well. But at the same time, you don't know her experiences. Like she could have been raped, could have been molested, could have been harassed before, and that could have triggered it. So that's what I'm saying. It's such a fine line. Like people, you can't think
It
everybody is the
is.
same. Because
That's
although
true.
this is,
And mhm.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even being at a party, like you said, you got to come around and come back to the office and see you again. Maybe I'm not interested in your advance that you expressed to me at the party, but I got to turn around and you're in my team pod at the office, and then you're in a position of some authority over me, and then I said, I don't want your number. No, you can't have my number. And so I might say, well, oh, I'm not selected for the group, and you are picking people for the project, oh, it's sexual harassment because I didn't give you my number. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of
Yeah.
like,
It's tricky.
you
It's
know.
tricky. It's a tricky spot. Now, and because we've been talking about like from the female perspective, I can give you like the male perspective, like also as well. Now, being that I'm a black man, on the flip side, I would look at a situation. I see you smiling. Like we talk about the sexual harassment thing. I would always like us a lot of times, we got to be a little more cautious than anybody. Because I feel sometimes in
Mhm.
situations like that, like we talk about the entertainers, we talk about the athletes, we talk about all this, and women do get raped. Women do get raped by some of these people that we love as athletes, as entertainers, as musicians. That's the truth. Some of them do get raped. Some of them do get taken advantage of. But what's also true is some of them lie as well. And the thing is, that fine no, some of them lie, some of them lie. And the thing is with the era we living in, with this like this Me Too thing, it's like
Yes.
you got to be so careful saying anything nowadays. I remember when we were younger, certain things comics said, like they getting reprisals or saying things they said in the past. Like that was the past, man. You don't know if I even think like that no more. But just being like a black man, I know in a sexual harassment case, I just feel even if it's going up, that's if we in corporate America in particular, because a lot of jobs in corporate America, you have sisters that's working in corporate America. I know we speak about people in general, but we always speak to like black spectacles. But like if you assist in corporate America, a lot of times it's not going to be like you getting sexually harassed by a lot of black men. I would say because there's not a lot of us really in corporate America as it is. And that's a whole nother dynamic when
Hmm.
you got a white man, you got a black woman, and he got the power behind him, and he could say she was this or that, but then she also like could say like, "Oh, I'm the only black woman." It's just like so many different dynamics, like that. I would say the best way when you're in this office is the best way is not really to try to date your coworkers. And I know that's easier said than done because when you start,
Exactly.
for me,
Exactly.
like yeah, I'll say that's the ideally that's the best way. Even with somebody you really attracted, like if you was talking to somebody, sometimes it's best maybe one of y'all leave or something. Because me
Hmm.
personally, when I ever dated somebody, we was like in the same building. It was usually like in a different department. So it was like we're not like right there together, but it's like even if we just talking or whatever. But the best thing I would say, like, really not to date a coworker because you never know, like you're dealing with people. You know, um, and what's interesting about this, Jen, is that just there's so many cases like this. Like you can go back to the early '90s and remember how this impacted our community with Mike Tyson and Desiree Washington. Then you got
Hmm.
Tupac and Iona Jones. Then
And
you got
Clarence Thomas, and yeah.
the Clarence Thomas situation. It's just like I know in different situations people believe different people. And
Right.
so like I mean that's just the truth. And then it's like, yeah. So this is why it's so interesting because like when you look at like because I want to be careful saying this, like you look at like those situations, those three we just named. Typically, a lot of people believe one party more than the other in each of those situations, or it might be split down the middle. So
Okay.
it's just like we said, the best thing is probably not to date your coworkers and because you never know like how a person might take them when you come at them.
Well, the two examples you gave were not really examples of this. Those were like assault accusations. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? They weren't
So you're just
like,
speaking like strictly on like the harassment, like
I mean,
Because I mean, if you're looking like, I mean,
I was
technically like the
saying someone in your circle. I'm saying someone in your circle.
strictly
Workplace really is kind of where my mind was, but in your
workplace.
circle.
Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what workplace? I would say like, ideally that's a no. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've saw people I work with. I thought was attractive. That I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we work together, so that's dead. You know, so I said, well, maybe if I was in a totally different department, I'd probably shoot my shot, but they'll never know.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and when I say shoot my shot, I ain't talking about going up saying, "Damn, you got a fat ass." No, no, introducing myself. You know,
What? Stop it.
so I would say ideally, like in the workplace, I would say no, because then it's weird. Like, you know, even after you date a person, even y'all dating it don't work out, then I guess it'd be weird depending on how y'all handle it when y'all see each other at work. Like, okay, we just broke up, or we just did this or that, and then y'all see each other, and the next thing you know, you at work and you talking to another woman, or she talking to another man, or y'all got something going on, and every guy is in her face, he looking like this. What are you talking about? or every woman is saying,
Oh,
so it's like
what?
all kind of things, can happen with that. Like depending on the person, how secure the person is, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
that's
just
true. I suppose. I suppose.
yeah. Yeah. But I know we was
Yes.
talking about the workplace. I just wanted to know, like, I just know like the sexual harassment thing is a lot of complexity involved in that, because this not. I just wanted to tell you about like some of my personal experiences,
Mhm.
like because I've worked with, like, it wasn't like necessarily it was like an higher up position, but I worked with women that was kind of aggressive, and different types of situations. Like when they will flirt with you, and maybe you ain't into it, but you chilling, and you know some of them think they could touch you a certain way because, oh, you're a man, and men don't tell, and men don't complain, because I had. Now this is like on the probably like on the when I was coming up in the workplace, but it was like it wasn't like a
Mhm.
corporate job, it wasn't like a
Okay.
corporate job, but you had some of them that
But
try to
still,
touch you.
still.
Yeah, but and I could tell you, but here's the thing though, like even just my mental, like when she did that, I was like, no, I'm gonna say chill out, stop. I wasn't thinking about going to the office on her. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I didn't like it, and I thought, shit,
Because of some of these reasons, because of
no, but
cultural stigma and.
cultural stigma, because like you a man, you complain about a woman touching you. Like how I grew up.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was just I
Right.
got a lot of stuff how I grew up. Like I'm like,
Right.
okay, I mean, how I grew up, like, okay, a woman do that, you gonna go tell? No, I just tell her chill out, And it was just like weird. Even now, this is different. Even in high school, like I remember sometimes you walk into class, and some of the girls just hit you on your butt. Some of the girls just hit you on your butt. You look back and they think like, and I'm like, I don't like that, but you know what I'm saying? I don't
Hmm.
like that at all. Now, do you remember when Busta Rhymes? And I was not necessarily agree with that. Then when the girl slapped Busta Rhymes on the butt and the airport just
I
recently,
do. And he threw
he,
the
he threw
water on
he threw
her.
the water. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, but I wouldn't do all that. But
Which
everybody
I
different.
feel like he kind of like went ballistic for,
Now, no, wait, wait, now,
she
wait,
crossed
wait,
the
hold on right
line,
there.
but
Now, why you now? No, wait, no, let me ask you though. That's now good. That's good. Now you say he kind of
uh-oh.
went ballistic. I'm not gonna let you get off. You feel, no, let me ask this. Now you feel he went kind of ballistic, right? You just said it. You just said it. Why?
He got
People,
really, really, really mad.
okay, well, now we just keep it real, like how we always do. We be on each other's podcast. Why do you feel
Yeah.
that he went ballistic? Like why?
I mean, I guess he like, because he's this big guy, who you are touching me on my backside, I don't know you like that. You don't know me like that. And you just rolling up on me and touching me. as a violation, and so he threw the water on her. He was mad, but I felt like he got overly mad. She was a little crazy fan. It could have been like, nah, shorty, chill out or something like that. Because he had like all his little people around him.
Yeah, but why do you think
You know.
he went overboard? Like, what's your perspective? Like, why do you consider what he did is going overboard?
Oh, I just feel like that's like the New York in him or whatever. Like it's a violation.
Mm-hmm.
New Yorkers don't play like that. It's like a violation. You touched me. You violated me. Ah. you know.
I hear that, Jim, but New York and St. Louis and Detroit, we don't none of these cities play. Let me say this. Let me say this.
Oh,
Okay, so let
you
me say this.
go. Here you go.
Okay. So let me say this. Do you think part of it? I mean, it's no right or wrong. It's just that's how we, have discussions about it. That's how, we get understanding. Do you think because of him being a black man, like he shouldn't trip, like because of customs and things like that? Do they got a little bit to do with it?
Not because of he's being a black man, but I just think that she didn't have the intention of like trying to rob him or take his chain, or she was just trying to like, some people just really fan out over these celebrities,
Because she
and they
could,
go too far.
because she could have touched his shoulder. I mean, or touching him
Yeah.
period, but I'm just saying she touched his butt and she did it like in the like a sassy way. She touched his butt. So my saying is just like when I say you think he's just a black man, not like black men like we just supposed to accept anything. Although some people do feel that way about us. Like
Right.
we're not supposed to have an
No.
opinion about it. But I'm just saying the black man in the sense like, okay, that's a black woman, that's a black man. Like we have understanding and sometimes
Oh
we do stuff
no.
like this.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so is it just because like is it anything on just being a man? Period. Like, oh, I'm a man, and I don't think a man should do that to a woman. The water on a woman. Like, are you putting yourself in that woman's shoes? Like, dang, I mean, what is it?
Well, I feel like when he turned around and aggressively threw the water on her, like turned into battery, because throwing water on somebody is almost like, I don't want to say it's assault, it might be battery. I don't know. It's something,
But she kind of
but
like, and what? But
yeah,
she actually assaulted him though. When you look at it, I ain't even
she
harassment. That's
did,
actually like, yeah,
violated his personal space, definitely. So,
yeah. So let me sure it's on the flip side, right?
yeah.
Let's say Beyonce was walking through the airport, right? Or let's say Beyonce was walking through the airport and a guy just slapped her on the butt, and she threw water on him. Would she be wrong? Keep it real.
No.
Oh God, why would she be wrong?
No, she wouldn't be wrong because he violated her, personal space and accosted her.
But Jen, you kind of show, and I like you. I like the fact that you honest, but you kind of showing that you kind of got a little bias, and you feel that as a man, he was just supposed to deal with that. That's what it means
I
essentially.
didn't really say that though. I said that she
No,
violated his personal space.
no, no. You're not saying that, but it's just like you don't. That's the implications. And what to me is direct because like the only difference is that she's a woman and he's a man. That's the only difference.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's the
Well,
only difference in the situation. Yes, that's the only difference. And that's why, like, that's why it's such a fine line between those things. Like,
I guess I'm thinking what's more of a threat. You know what I mean? I felt like this lady was not so much of a threat. And so, like, what her intentions were, she just probably wanted an autograph. She wanted him to acknowledge her, him to give her a hug, or to, you know, and I don't know. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what's the threat? What's the threat?
well, I look at it like this. If that's the case, like they in the airport, doing anything in the airport is a federal crime. She has security around him. He has security around him. If was in that situation, I look at it like it's not too threatening. Now, I mean, in that particular situation. So me, I think it's like a simple like looking at men and women being viewed differently when it comes to sexual harassment, in particular, black men and black women. because on the
Mhm.
flip side, like a black man, like how cousins are, we might feel we can come at black women a certain type of way. I think there was a situation with like Isaiah Thomas and somebody, the Piston old player, Isaiah Thomas, or some
Mhm.
situation he had. I forgot it
Oh,
was
he
something.
did with an
So
employee. Yeah, definitely.
what I'm saying? It's something like, and just recently, another case happened with the Detroit Pistons. That's my favorite team because I'm from Detroit. But
And that
like
went
recently,
on for, like, years or a really long time.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it's a recent case just happened with a lady who was working, and that's some of you. If I get the clip, I'll send it to you about a lady who was working for the Detroit Pistons, and she was being sexually harassed by this guy that hired her, for a certain position. And she actually suing the Detroit Pistons currently. Black man, black woman, again, but it's just like
Oh,
sometimes
wow.
those dynamics, like, oh, he a brother. I'm thinking like, because we really each other's counterpart. We really do some of the same stuff and look at things like, oh, I'm a black woman, you a black man, so you should understand this and all that. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of groups have this thing, but like because we been conditioned and we having problems with each other and stuff like that, it's just
Mhm.
we broadcast our stuff out in the medium a little bit more than others. We tell all our business, whereas other communities don't do it like that because everybody have problems within their own group. But that's what I was just saying. Like, so with
Oh, wow. So she ended up getting I had to find what the
yeah,
woman
yeah,
got
yeah,
because she was like 'cause she sued the garden. She sued
yeah.
the whole
See,
Madison Square Garden, and it's considered a landmark sexual harassment case, which is really
mm-hmm.
interesting. He was just, a part of it, but she ended up getting 11.6 million.
See what I'm saying? There's a current case against the Pistons about some of a similar
Wow.
nature. Because we're talking about this now, you see like how it's such a fine line. Now, let me ask you this: Do you now? I'm gonna ask you from a male perspective too. Like, in the work, do you remember any case of a man actually suing a woman for sexual harassment and like winning?
I'm sure that there is. I know
Mm-hmm.
that has been dramatized on some shows. God, I actually saw that dramatized on a show recently, and I thought it was like, oh wow, I never thought of it that way. So I'm sure it happens, especially in white spaces, perhaps.
See,
Perhaps a older
yeah,
and younger
yeah, yeah,
person or something like that.
yeah. That's kind of like That's kind of like and it's just like even like even though this is like not the Terry Crews situation comes to my mind. Like even though it's a different dynamic with him saying like he actually been harassed by like men. Some people would say like some people in our community like a lot of times are looking like what. And that can be in some case he said he felt that black women supported him more than black men in that situation.
Mhm.
Because how community like the brothers looking like, wait dog, hold up. Big as you is, you letting somebody just touch on you
And
inappropriately?
he didn't
Yeah.
right, and I can understand him not wanting to say anything because that's embarrassing
Yeah.
for one, and two, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
You fear retaliation and all that.
yeah. Yeah, and then just to think about like I know we're talking about sexual harassment, but maybe we should talk about this on a later show. What I'm about to mention, but just imagine like contrary to popular opinion, a lot of young men, a lot of young black men, they go to prison. A lot of them get raped. Not every single person, but a lot of them get raped, and a lot of young men have been molested and harassed from our community, but they would never bring it out because they want to know. I don't want nobody to think I'm gay. I don't want nobody to think I'm a punk or I'm a sissy or anything like that. And using that words, that using the words the way we use those words to express it. Because I can tell you as a man, and I think I'm a man that's pretty secure in myself. If I know I'm pretty secure in myself, I don't think. But just say if I was like molested as a young man, as open as I was in my book about everything I went through, I don't think I could. I don't think I'm at the point where I could have put that in my book.
Really?
And yeah, I don't think I could. You know what I'm saying? If that had happened to me, I don't think I could have put that in Black Boy Rise. I want to put that in there. I don't think I'm at that point where I could have put that in there. Just think about everything, the backlash and how people view you. I don't think I'll reach that point as far as I've reached. If that was the case, I don't think I'm at the point even in my life where I
Mhm.
could have put that out there or talk about that on the podcast or like that. And that's why I commend the brothers in
Okay.
particular who could do that. Like Sugar Ray Leonard, world famous boxer, one of the greatest boxers of all time.
Mhm.
He was on Mike Tyson's podcast, talking about when he was sexually harassed, and he was like, he talked about his life and he said it took him a time to get to that point. He's a lot older than me, but it took him time to be able to really put that out there.
Yeah, and God, I can't think of the school it was, and you probably know it because you're like all into sports, but it was like some older white man had molested all these little black boys that went through
I
this
believe it
sports program.
was it Penn State? I believe it's Penn. I believe, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken, I think it was Penn State. Yeah.
Yeah. Horrible, just a horrible situation. But that's the thing. Someone in power just takes advantage of the
Yeah.
situation. You know what I mean? And it's horrible. But if you are that person being taken advantage of, you should definitely speak out about it. And there's different ways to do it. You know what I mean? You can do it anonymously. Um,
Hmm.
there's different ways to do it, but you definitely should say something in spite of the stigma, in spite of the fear, in spite of
Hmm.
all these reasons why people don't report. You
Yeah.
definitely should say something because it's not fair, and don't give that other person the power over you.
Though, Jen, speaking out is scary though,
It
because
is.
when you speak out, you don't know what's going to happen. We know people who spoke out about injustices and they were assassinated. So
That's true.
speaking out is scary, whether you're a man or a woman, because sometimes you think about, like, even you look at them as football players, thinking football players are tough guys. Even though football players are not monolithic, they still human beings as well. You never know when they figure out, like, oh,
True.
I speak out, man. The brothers on the team gonna be mad at me because like they feel like I'm messing up their opportunity. They might take the chance of
They gonna
the
be
team and
mad anyway,
yeah,
though.
yeah,
You
yeah. I
know?
mean, yeah, but then, I mean, sometimes you're thinking like some people get drawn into that with conditionally. We about the brotherhood, like kind of like police who subscribe to
Yeah.
the fraternal order of things. Like we is it black or blue? We blue. Only color we see is blue. We know
Hmm.
with the stuff that happens, that's not really true. Uh, and so it's just like when you speaking out, it's scary because you don't know what's gonna happen. And the psyche of the black mind, whether we admit it or not, in the back of our mind, subconsciously, all the time, is that we see what happened to a lot of our leaders when they speak out. They've been taken away from us. They've been in prison. They've been exiled. They've been prevented from having opportunity. And we look at like, damn, I want to speak out, but like, is my community gonna have my back like that? Like, if I speak out and I lose this opportunity, I'm going back to my community. I'm going back to almost nothing. I ain't going back to infrastructure. I ain't going back to people that's gonna really have my back. I don't have people that I can build with. I don't have nobody I can get a job with. Somebody gonna give me scholarships, and that's the problem. Like with our community, that's something we got to work on. So people feel like if I do take that stand, if I do take that chance to speak out, I still got a community that's backing me. I still got people that's gonna be behind me, and it's just like even if that's
Yeah.
why part of the reason a lot of people don't speak out. Especially coming from our community, but
Hmm.
anybody from any community, you worry about the, the backlash. Most people, contrary to popular opinion, most people not gonna go against the grain. Most people in the world,
Right.
in America especially, most people in the world are followers. Most people don't have the courage to go against the grain, and that's why the people who do, a lot of times they hate it. They talked about, they hurt, but then when those people pass on or they look back on life like that person was smart, that person had the courage. I wish I had that courage like this person, and all that. But,
Yes, and all it
but
takes is one, and you'll be surprised that there are other people that have went through the exact same thing
yeah,
that you went
millions.
through, and they're just looking for someone that had the courage to say something. So say something. If you are being sexually harassed, if it's slight, if it's, say something.
Yeah, because I just think about I remember the Fantasia story when she got like raped in a janitor closet, and like she went to the school and they was angry at her, like everybody was against her. Like, I mean, how dare you be against her? And I can't
Right.
remember what's the guy like. What was he like? Was he popular in the school or something like that? Was he like a what did who was the guy? Because the guy that raped her, I know that was he on the. I'm trying to remember, was he on the team or something? Because a lot of times, I don't quote me on that because I don't know if he was. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times when somebody's popular in our community and somebody's not popular, it's like fuck them. Like we only go for the people that's
Mm.
popular, and that's the wrong way to be. Because just because somebody popular don't mean they're a good person. That's like
That's
that's
true.
like that's like a local drug dealer sometimes, like who see people driving up the street and they'll park in the middle of the street holding the whole conversation. They're like, how dare you disrespect me? How dare you say anything? Because I'm the man around here. Or you trying to talk down on you because his clothes cost more than your clothes, or his car is more fancy than your car. And everybody laugh at his
Hmm.
jokes and everybody be around him because he's popular and he's got money. But it could be a person who's an activist in the community who may not have what you have, but they actually care about the people in the neighborhood. But if something was to happen, a
Hmm.
lot of people in the neighborhood, the band of the activists, side with that guy. The people that's really few, that's really true with. But it's just like that stuff, that popularity thing. Like it's just like who's ever popular, whoever I can benefit from the most. You know, like so you empower is the same thing. You empower, you're the most popular. Typically,
Definitely.
you're the person people want to be up under. A lot of people are like, okay, I can benefit from him or her more so than you. So I'm gonna side with them, or they're gonna be neutral. I just know it's like sometimes when a black person come into office in particular, and they may not fit the mold, a lot of black people are looking at each other in the office like, oh my God, talk about, you see him, do you see her? Because you feel like, oh, that's gonna mess up for all of us. They're gonna look at you like, you messing up for every single one of us. And it's just like so it's a lot of dynamics, but like, that
Mm,
workplace sexual harassment it's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing. And it goes both
it
ways.
is, but right, it does, and everybody should, respect each other's space, and yeah, respect each other's space. If you do decide to, have a consensual relationship with someone and they decide that they don't want to be involved anymore, let them be. You know what I mean? Like, who are you to hold anything over someone's head? You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
that's not cool. That's not fair. And don't let anybody put you in this literal chokehold, or figuratively in a chokehold. Don't let them do that to you.
And what I've learned, a lot of times we just look at people and just think they're physically attractive, and you might want to be attracted to them because of those reasons. But you got to think about what's going on up here, because
Right.
some people don't know how to let go. I've been a youth counselor before, and I've had young men tell me that a lot of them was worried about their girlfriends cheating on them out there, and I would tell them like, I mean, I said the reality is this, man. Like, uh, truth is when you locked up, man. Some women deal with other men just to satisfy the physical needs. Now they were teens; they was already. Some of them would deal with men to satisfy physical needs. I told them that. I said some of them will stop it when you get out. You know, some of them won't. Some of them may, while you locked out, they may fall in love
Okay.
with another guy. And that's just the reality of the situation. I said your focus is getting out of here and making a change for your life, and I just let know anybody can go bad on you anytime. Anybody can change up on you anytime. So you just got to be prepared for that. And I know that's hard. I say you just got to,
Yeah.
build yourself up to be able to handle anything because that's just a reality. And the flip side, a lot of women, a lot of black women are increasingly going to prison. That can happen to you as well. That can happen to you as
Oh my
well.
goodness. Yes. Being
And
this
so,
down chick,
yeah,
that will do anything, will be to the fault, for
yeah,
someone who would not do the same for you. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's why I say like that's why I say like we gotta realize it's great we had this discussion. Like, realize how we hurt each other. Like it's men that are no good and it's women that are no good. And it's men that do wrong and it's women that do wrong. It's women that harass men sexually and it's men that harass women sexually. And this is like I just always told them, but some of them said they were so concerned about it. But some of them told me this is the thing that if somebody tried to mess, some of them had kids too. They said if somebody mess with my baby mama, man, I'm gonna kill them.
Hmm.
Like I mean, like, and I believe them. And it's like, and you look at it like,
Yeah.
these people are killing people that don't want to be with them. And a lot of times I go back to the roots, go back to the home, like people who don't have love, who don't have the unconditional love of their parents, who don't have love coming up. And so when they meet somebody who's nice to them, who's
Hmm.
sweet to them, they want to hold on for that, or they feel like you're going to abandon them like anybody else. And it's like, hey, if I can't have you, nobody can have you. And so you never know that person you think is so
Wow.
physically attractive. They might be that type of man. They might be that type of woman. You know,
Hmm.
on the flip side, and then I try to be balanced with the men and the women. Like you recently saw the case where what was the ex football player and his ex girlfriend. There was a situation
Yeah.
where and then they was saying you told them to shoot his house up. He said, and all that. She's like, well, I didn't tell him to shoot him. I just told him to shoot the house up. He ended up
Oh
killing
no.
killing one of the guys that came. So it's like you gotta be mindful who you deal with, and
Definitely.
just gotta know how to let go and just always watch. And I mean, I would recommend like I'm gonna say for the women in particular, when you meet guys like that, if you can, I think it's important sometimes to let some of the men in your family be around when you meeting guys. What I mean by that is when you're introducing them, getting to know them, let them know, you know, see a male presence there. Now, crazy people gonna do what crazy people gonna
Mhm.
do. Now, it don't matter who you got, it don't matter how tough your brother is. If he decide he gonna shoot you and shoot your brother, so it's best to see some of them signs early on. I say, at least before you get physically involved. That's true though, Jen.
Yeah.
You know, your
Okay.
brother could be the best fighter in the neighborhood. He could be the gangster, but it doesn't matter if this man's
I
made up in
know,
his
that's a
mind.
horrible thought. That's a horrible thought.
It is, but it's a sad reality. It's just like
Okay.
so. I mean, it's like I think it's you let the men and your men, at least the men that at least the ones that got some something going on up here who can like kind of see things like and some of the guys should bring around. And the flip side for men, you bring women around, you should have some of the women in your family that meet them and talk to them about that. That's how you find out things, communicate like something ain't working, something ain't working. Because I seen guys that I know get a girl number and to call the number right there, like, oh, I just want to make sure you gave me the right number. I'm like, okay. You know what
What?
I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm saying, so it can be crazy. Like
Insecure much?
like if she's right. So if she had said gave you the wrong number, what was gonna happen? I mean, I'm not saying I don't necessarily think this person I
Wow.
know would have done something crazy, but I mean, just other people will. What I'm saying? Other people will, and it's just like
Yeah.
you just never know like what you're dealing with or who you're dealing with or what they're going through.
That's
But it's
true.
just
So we kind of talked about some, good things that people can do, respecting each other's space. Maybe it might not be the best idea to get involved with coworkers in the first place and things like that. What are some other, as we round out this conversation, a really good conversation we had on the male and female dynamic in the workplace and just in your circle, really in general. Other thoughts on this as we round out the closing topic?
well, I would say just like we were just talking about the workplace. Ideally, I would say you probably shouldn't deal with your coworkers. Ideally,
Hmm.
but we know life
Hmm.
happens, and
It
sometimes people
does.
say people say you. I already saying some people say you go to work to work, not to make friends and not to make boyfriends, get boyfriends or girlfriends. But we all know that life happens. I met some of the my best friends at work, but I
Oh,
wasn't looking for friendship.
definitely.
I wasn't looking. That's still in my life now. I wasn't looking for friendship. It was something that happened natural. So you go to work like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not thinking about this woman. I'm not thinking about this man, but y'all connect naturally. You ain't forcing it naturally. And I would say ideally, if you got two people that's mature, you got two people that's secure. In a rare case like that, it probably could work. It probably could work. Or you know how to separate the two and understand that it's a it's a time for play and it's time to be serious. It's time for work and it's a time for our personal lives. So because I can tell you, I've every job I've been to, I've synced it. What I'm saying? Like it's not one job I've been to where I didn't see it at all. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember even being a high school student and seeing some of my teachers was feeling each other. Well, like not even a lot of them, but like maybe a male teacher and a female teacher was feeling each other. There's just certain things you just see. certain dynamics, but it's like
I mean,
just
no,
like
I've worked at places where it's been like married couples, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
right,
You
right,
know, or
right. I'm saying,
people
yeah,
engaged to be married, you know what I mean? And like the countdown to the wedding and all this. And then sometimes it's like it's in the rule book that you're not supposed to be, in a relationship with people you work with, and it just happens anyway. And it's like, okay, they're married to Bob over here, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's just, yeah.
And so it's just a matter of like the maturity. Like, can you handle that? If you can't handle that, you know, you probably shouldn't work there. Because you shouldn't probably mess with nobody at work. Because I just want to give you an example like this, a little different, but for an example, it would be hard for me. It's a different kind of relationship, but I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna bring it back. It'd be hard for me to work in the place with my mother, right? If my mother, we in customer
Okay.
service, for example. No, I'm just no, what I'm saying is if we in customer service, for example, and somebody comes in cussing at my mom, you know what I'm saying? Immediately, you go in protective mode, like hold up, like you forget about this job, like especially how crazy things is. I don't care. I get another job. I'm willing to lose this job. You finna hurt my mother. You know what I'm saying? So that would be hard. And on the
Okay.
flip side, like if we somewhere at work and depending on the kind of job you have and somebody's coming at your significant other wrong and you're there, I mean, you got to factor in those things. Like, can you handle that? Like dating your coworker if somebody's coming at them wrong, or your wife is getting yelled at by her boss, and you standing right there like, wait, hold up. You know what I'm saying? Or a woman is causing problems with your man at work. Can you handle that? Like, you can't handle those different dynamics. I think you should factor in all those things, or you just move. Because if you can't handle that, then you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't do that.
True, true, true. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so that's something for all of us to consider. Like, yeah, I don't know. It would have to be something natural. I wouldn't force it. Like, I don't have any intentions of dating a coworker, but if it happens, it happens. It had to be something natural, though. I've never,
Right.
you know, I wouldn't recommend. It was usually typically like different departments. So we in a big building in a totally different department. It's like maybe we can meet for lunch,
Hmm.
outside of work and all that. We work different shifts, so it's kind of like sometimes we don't even see each other. But
Right.
so that's what I would say. Just make sure you mature enough and secure enough for it. Because
Definitely.
yeah,
And respecting each other's space is important. Really slight things can be construed as sexual harassment, telling a dirty joke, saying something lewd and inappropriate. So, check yourself, guys, out people, people out there, respect each other out there. So, okay, so I appreciate Trey for partaking in the conversation. Yeah, this was good. So, yeah, more to come on that. Please remind the good people of your platform and your content.
well, thanks for having me again, Jen. It's always a pleasure of coming on your podcast. Well, as you know, my name is Trey Styles. I'm the author of a book called Black Boy Arise. You can find it on Amazon. I'm also have a podcast called Black Man Talk. One word, Black Man Talk, not black men, Black Man Talk. And you can find that on YouTube and other social media platforms.
Excellent. And we'll have those links posted, everybody. So check that out and tap the link when you see it in the show notes. So, again, thank you to Trey, and we appreciate everyone for listening. And if you got this far in the video, please like, share, subscribe. Please like, share, subscribe. And thank you again. Take care.